0% financing for 36 months. Call 866-95-NATION or visit windownation.com.
Tonight, the fiery hearing on Capitol Hill, the FBI agent in the hot seat. After that agent sent text messages about then-candidate Donald Trump, what he wrote, and tonight he's now firing back at allegations of personal bias within the FBI as they investigated Russia, the Trump campaign, and Hillary Clinton's emails. At times today, the hearing turning ugly and personal.
Mr. Chairman, it's outrageous.
Also tonight, President Trump declaring victory at NATO, saying other world leaders had just agreed to pay more. But what really happened? The French President Emmanuel Macron then saying there was no such agreement. Deadly rip currents up and down the East Coast tonight, the body of a swimmer pulled from the water. And tonight, the teenager surviving nearly 10 hours after being pulled out to sea. The tragedy on an American roadway, the driver under arrest. The 800-pound boulder falling out of the back of his truck, killing a mother and daughter. The fallout tonight involving Papa John's and its founder after using a racial slur during a conference call. What's happened now? The American toy store and its promotion growing out of control after telling parents they could pay their child's age. They could not handle the lines forming across America. And the shopping mall collapsing tonight, word shoppers had just been evacuated.
This is ABC World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us here on a very busy Thursday night. And we begin with the fireworks on Capitol Hill unfolding on live TV. At times, this was uncomfortable to watch. The state of politics today, as an FBI agent tried to defend himself and his text messages about then-candidate Donald Trump. Some lawmakers were not having it. That agent, Peter Strzok, for months the lightning rod for criticism of the FBI and allegations of bias within. Now on Capitol Hill, breaking his silence. At times, the hearing appearing chaotic and downright personal. ABC's Chief Justice correspondent Pierre Thomas, who witnessed it, is on the Hill tonight.
Embattled FBI agent Peter Strzok under fire for months, tonight coming to Capitol Hill to try and clear his name.
Not once in my 26 years of defending our nation did my personal opinions impact any official action I took.
Strzok, who was deeply involved in the Hillary Clinton email investigation and the early stages of the Russia probe, became the source of Republican attacks after the discovery of personal texts he exchanged with FBI lawyer Lisa Page. The messages deeply critical of presidential candidate Donald Trump. In one text, Page writes, "God, Trump is a loathsome human." Strzok responds, "Yet he may win. America will get what the voting public deserves." In another exchange, Strzok calling Trump an idiot. Page saying he's awful.
Mr. Strzok and others inside the FBI and DOJ turned our system of justice on its head. And that's why we're here and why this matters.
In today's explosive hearing, Strzok defiant, accusing lawmakers of playing right into Russia's hands.
I strongly believe today's hearing is just another victory notch in Putin's belt and another milestone in our enemy's campaign to tear America apart.
He accused Republicans of twisting his words.
I don't appreciate what was originally said being changed.
I don't give a damn what you appreciate, Agent Strzok. I don't appreciate having an FBI agent with an unprecedented level of animus working on two major investigations during 2016.
Republicans seizing on one text exchange in particular. FBI lawyer Lisa Page asks, "He's not ever going to become president, right? Right?" Strzok replies, No, he's not. We'll stop it." Strzok says those comments were triggered by Trump's attack on the Muslim parents of a fallen American soldier.
You have sacrificed nothing and no one.
If you look at his wife, she was standing there. She had nothing to say. Maybe she wasn't allowed to have anything to say.
Strzok says his text was an expression of pure outrage.
It was in response to a series of events that included then-candidate Trump insulting the immigrant family of a fallen war hero. And my presumption, based on that horrible, disgusting behavior, that the American population would not elect somebody demonstrating that behavior to be president of the United States.
He then mounted a searing defense, not of just himself, but of the FBI.
I can assure you, Mr. Chairman, at no time in any of these texts did those personal beliefs ever enter into the realm of any action I took. And the proposition that that is going on, that it might occur anywhere in the FBI, deeply corrodes what the FBI is in American society, the effectiveness of their mission, and it is deeply destructive.
Democrats objecting throughout the raucous hearing.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. Point of order. Point of order. Yes, it is, Mr. Chairman.
Accusing Republicans of trying to undermine the special counsel investigation into Russian meddling and possible collusion with the Trump campaign.
This hearing is a kangaroo court. It is a three-ring circus.
But Republicans relentless.
I can't help but wonder when I see you looking there with a little smirk, how many times did you look so innocent into your wife's eye and lie to her about Lisa?
Mr. Chairman, this is outrageous.
The credibility of a witness
Shame
is always in
Struck unwavering.
I have always told the truth. The fact that you would accuse me otherwise, the fact that you would question whether or not that was the sort of look I would engage with in a family member who I have acknowledged hurting, goes more to a discussion about your character and what you stand for.
And Pierre Thomas with us live there on Capitol Hill tonight. And Pierre, this was not the prettiest of days on Capitol Hill. It would seem to many there were few winners anywhere to be found. But just to be clear, Pierre, you've reported on this before. The Justice Department did an investigation. Its own independent inspector general already issuing a report on this long before this heated hearing?
That's right, David. The Inspector General criticized Strzok for those nasty emails about Trump, but ultimately concluded that, quote, he did not find documentary or testimonial evidence that improper considerations, including political bias, directly affected the specific investigative decisions we reviewed, end quote. David?
Pierre Thomas live up on the Hill for us tonight. Pierre, thank you. We're going to turn now to the other fiery exchanges, the ones that played out at the NATO summit. President Trump and some of America's closest allies, and tonight what he just said in the UK, his next stop. He and the First Lady arriving in the UK after that tense meeting with NATO allies. Right before he left, the president declaring victory, saying the other countries agreed to pay more. But is that true? What they then said afterward. ABC's chief foreign correspondent Terry Moran from the UK tonight. The president reportedly saying some of the protests there have made him feel unwelcome.
In Brussels today, an unexpected first. President Trump singing the praises of the NATO alliance.
I believe in NATO. I think NATO is very important, probably the greatest ever done.
He could have fooled the allies after his rampage less than 24 hours earlier, first lashing out at Germany for their recent energy deal with the Kremlin.
Germany, as far as I'm concerned, is captive to Russia.
Then broadening his attack, tweeting, "What good is NATO if Germany's paying Russia billions of dollars for gas and energy?" So he strolled into the summit today almost an hour late and alone, and soon blew it up. Sources tell ABC News Trump told the other nations that if they don't spend more on defense, the U.S. would go its own way and do our own thing, an ominous ultimatum for an alliance. After he held a press conference to declare victory over the allies.
And they have substantially upped their commitment, yeah. And now we're very happy and have a very, very powerful, very, very strong NATO, much stronger than it was 2 days ago.
But other leaders said their immediate spending plans had not changed at all. French President Emmanuel Macron
que nous tiendrons les engagements pris,
saying France would hit the spending targets the U.S. wants in 2024. The chaos at NATO, something that would gladden Vladimir Putin, who said last year NATO should completely be falling apart. President Trump meets with Putin Monday.
In a sense, we're competitors, not a question of friend or enemy. He's not my enemy. And hopefully someday, maybe he'll be a friend. It could happen, but I just don't know him very well.
American intelligence agencies have determined Putin meddled in the 2016 election. Trump says he'll raise the issue.
We will, of course, ask your favorite question about meddling. I will be asking that question again. He may deny it. I mean, it's one of those things. So all I can do is say, did you, and don't do it again. But he may deny.
But first, this. A very British welcome at the magnificent Blenheim Palace. Prime Minister Theresa May greeting President Trump and the First Lady. A military parade delighting the president. The prime minister well aware that pomp and circumstance is one way to make this mercurial ally happy.
So let's bring back in Terry Moran live tonight from London now. And Terry, we know other presidents before this current president have asked for NATO allies to contribute more as well. This was just a different way of doing it, certainly. And tonight, while you're there in London, British Prime Minister Theresa May rolling out the red carpet for the president. But that didn't stop him from appearing to take a shot at her, too, it seemed.
Oh, it is a devastating shot, David. Theresa May's fighting for her political life here. She rolled out her plan for Brexit. That's getting Britain out of the European Union. There were resignations. It's a huge controversy. And President Trump has now given an interview in which he said he would have done Brexit differently. He tried to tell Theresa May how to do it, but she wouldn't listen to him, which should make tomorrow pretty interesting here.
Yeah,
David?
When she sees the paper in the morning. All right, Terry Moran, our thanks to you tonight. In the meantime, back here at home this evening and to the other news, increasing concern over rip currents up and down the East Coast tonight. They have turned deadly. One swimmer carried out to sea for nearly 10 hours and surviving. Here's ABC's Victor Akendo for us.
Tonight, rip currents turning deadly. Lifeguards already rescuing hundreds of swimmers at packed beaches up and down the East Coast. In Volusia County, Florida, a 61-year-old man from Michigan died after being swept away by a rip current Wednesday.
How quickly can you get swept up in one of those currents?
It can be instant. You can go from standing in knee-deep water and at low tide, step into a deep rip current, and as soon as you take your feet off the bottom, it can just sweep you out.
That's what happened to Blake Spatero off St. Simon's Island in Georgia.
A 19-year-old male is missing for 30 minutes. They hear him yelling for help but can't see him.
I didn't want to die out there. I was talking to God the entire night.
The teen fighting the current for 10 grueling hours in the dark. He says he did his best to stay calm as the Coast Guard and his father desperately searched.
I was screaming, I was hollering, I was looking.
Spatero eventually reached the shore the following morning where he was able to get help.
David, that teen says that when he got tired, he simply floated on his back, and that's exactly what lifeguards say you should do if you find yourself in a rip current and swimming parallel to shore just gets too tiring. It's a simple move that could save your life. David?
All right, good advice, Victor. Thank you. There was a deadly accident on an American roadway, and tonight the driver of a truck is now under arrest after an 800-pound boulder rolled off the back of his landscaping truck, crushing a car and killing the mother and daughter inside. Here's Alex Perez.
They were driving home just outside Minneapolis, but this loving mother and her adult daughter, seen here in a recent trip, never made it. Karen Christensen and her daughter Jenna tragically killed, crushed by an 800-pound boulder that slammed into their car after flying off of the truck in front of them, the driver of that vehicle allegedly fleeing. Investigators quickly working to zero in on the driver, spotting the boulder, which measures about 3 feet by 3 feet, on surveillance video, tracking the truck to a landscaping company.
By having that photo, we were able to do our good old police work, pound the pavement.
And tonight, arresting that driver accused of leaving the scene, 33-year-old Joseph Check. There it goes. Debris on roadways blamed for tragic accidents across the country. According to AAA, in a 4-year period, there were more than 500 people killed, 39,000 injured, and some 200,000 crashes. Charges against the driver are pending. He could face vehicular homicide. David?
Alex, thank you. And to the Mueller investigation tonight, and former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort has now been transferred to a new jail. He was booked into the Alexandria Detention Center after a judge ordered him moved to be closer to where his first trial begins in 2 weeks. Manafort faces dozens of charges in the special counsel investigation and was jailed after violating the conditions of his bail. He did not want to be moved. There is new fallout tonight for the Papa John pizza chain after its founder made racially charged comments during a conference call. John Schnatter, not only the founder but the face of the company, has now stepped down as chairman. Here's ABC's Paula Ferris.
Better ingredients, better pizza.
He is the face of Papa John's. But tonight, John Schnatter is stepping down as chairman of the board from the company he founded. After this Forbes article revealed he allegedly complained during a conference call that KFC's Colonel Sanders called blacks the N-word and never faced backlash. Then he went further, saying during his early life in Indiana, people would drag African Americans from trucks until they died. The comments during a media training session aimed at avoiding public relations blunders came after he'd already caused an uproar by wading into the NFL's debate on anthem protests, allegedly saying it's hurt business. Schnatter admitting the insensitive comments in a statement saying, regardless of the context, I apologize. Simply stated, racism has no place in our society. But the backlash was severe. Major League Baseball suspending a popular promotion with Papa John's, its stock taking a hit before recovering.
Corporations are lots of people and they have their own culture.
So when you tie it to a particular personality, the entire enterprise can be harmed.
Schnatter, who, according to that Forbes article, was attempting to express his disdain for racism in that conference call, remains Papa John's largest shareholder.